Welcome, everybody, to your TWitWoW WWE Mock Draft 2024. John and I have taken it upon ourselves to send 10 people who weren't already on their, respective brands to Raw, NXT, and SmackDown each for a grand total of 30 draft picks each. Now, granted, there's going to be some overlap here because we didn't coordinate these to make sure that we had 60 unique picks or anything like that. So this is basically just John and I sharing our, respective visions of how we think that the real life WWE draft is going to go, or at least something along those lines. Now, I will say, in order to make this job a little bit easier on ourselves, we played with the rules a little bit, and rather than saying a faction or a tag team counts as one pick, which is the rule I know WWE goes by, we did it so that individuals counted as one pick, which also allows us to potentially break up tag teams or factions a little bit easier. Makes things a little more interesting, makes things a little bit more fun, I think, in my opinion. So, John, how are you feeling about your 30 picks that you made?
Man, I'm feeling pretty decent. I think in some ways, if I'm being honest with myself, I probably could have done better. But given that our biggest consultation was WWE.com, which is a bit out of date, and just trying to rely on like my own memory and really looking at TV, and given that I opted for a more realistic draft, again, that was my what I stressed to Ashton one of my live guys was that was my intention because you can ask Ashton. It's not often that I'm this prepared for something, but I was asking him all sorts of questions about how he wanted to do this so I could get the jump early. And I feel like I got done this draft. I wonder when my document even say that it got done. But yeah, I got it done like within the last week. And I've just been like waiting. I've been kind of updating, and thank goodness I did because there were some people I will cop. I did have Cameron Grimes in this draft originally. I had him going to NXT, and then he got released. So, like, I'm glad that I did a draft early because that allowed me to do some tinkering and kind of play with some pieces. So, I think the final product, if I was to grade myself and being honest, I'd give my draft a 7.5 out of 10. How do you feel
Damn.
about yours?
I hope that by the end of this, I'm able to be like, John, you're ridiculous. I would give yours a 9 out of 10. Your draft was fantastic.
I
Uh,
doubt that, but I appreciate it. But how are you feeling about yours?
going into it, I would give it like an 8.5.
I see. I like that confidence. I'm glad one of us is
I'm
confident. That's
well.
really
The thing
cool.
is, I'm kind of taking some stuff that they've already done and just like making it official, putting it into like writing. But I'm also doing some stuff that I feel like is either going to happen or that I want to happen or both. That I think would make things interesting and actually shake things up, which is the point, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was tempted to do that with one person. We'll talk about it later. Like, if you do make a move, I'll be like, bro, same. Cause I don't want to like get into it before we like formally get into stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking about that with like one or two picks. And I'm like, no, like I even kind of surprised myself with how conservative I was with some picks. But I'm glad you actually really took full advantage of this being a mock draft and was
Yes.
like, okay, what programming do I want to watch?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, really cool. Yeah, like he said, guys, we got 30 picks here. I'm just tweeting out our video to get as wide an audience as possible. And yeah, what show do you want to start with, man? How do you want to go about this? Because I don't know if you want to do this differently than like a 5v5 or similarly to a 5v5. So how do we want to do this?
Um, you know what? Let's. Oh, that's a good one. Let's kind of treat it similarly to how Raw does, or to how the actual WWE does, where we do one round at a time. We'll say like the first person that we want to announce is going to each brand. So
Okay.
like we'll say I'll say who my first name is going to Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. You'll say who the first person is going to Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. And as we're saying the names, we'll kind of explain why, what we'll think we'll do there, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds awesome. How about you go first?
That
Just
sounds fine to
announcing
me.
everything.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yes.
So to start things out, I kept this really, really simple. I have a world title swap happening. Cody Rhodes to Raw, Damian Priest to SmackDown. And I also
Yeah.
have, just as my top NXT pick, I have Ivar going to NXT to make it official. He's already been there. It makes sense to me in my head. Um, we also know now, just very recently, within the last hour, that Eric, Ivar's tag partner, is expecting another child. Valhalla, I guess, is pregnant again. So maybe he'll take even more time off. Maybe he'll just, call it a career and be a stay at home dad. I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have Ivar going to NXT. but I'm swapping the world titles for a few main reasons. One of the reasons is to kind of create a more interesting crop of challengers for both champions, because Cody specifically has been chasing that universal title for goddamn ever.
Yeah.
Um, so it feels like he has been involved with everyone over on SmackDown already forever. So I'm officially putting him on Raw, because he is now officially on SmackDown. So I'm putting him back on Raw, really, to get him also in a situation where he can be victimized, not by Brock Lesnar, but by Gunther.
Ah, interesting.
And I put
Interesting.
Priest on SmackDown again, A, to get him away from the Judgment Day, because I am breaking up the Judgment Day. I'll just put that out there right away. Which also then gets him away, out of his comfort zone. And also because I think that there are some more interesting challengers on SmackDown that isn't just the same few guys that he has been already interacting with over the course of the last 6 months, it feels like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my first round.
All right, my first round, and I want to say too, when I numbered these, at times I tried to think about like actual prestigious pick, but then honestly, it was just like making a list, right? It wasn't necessarily hierarchical in mind. But my number one picks for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, I've got Cody Rhodes going to Raw, so we agree there. I have Apollo Crews going back to NXT.
Nice.
And I will say again, just to be a bit more meta with it and draw the back the curtain, this originally was Cameron Grimes. Because when he
Gotcha.
was still at the company, I had it in my mind he would go back to NXT and he would have a nice heel run and a nice program with Trent Williams where they'd cook. Fortunately, dreams don't come true. So again, reprise, that's Cody to Raw, Apollo to NXT, and Jey Uso to SmackDown. Now I want to talk about Jey first. I feel like you gave a great enough explanation for Cody to Raw. Plus, I think with Raw going to be gaining in prestige with the Netflix deal and stuff next year, I feel like Cody's going to be a flagship on Raw for a while. Because him beating Roman Reigns, it's kind of like symbolically like he's the guy now. So we're just gonna have to deal with it.
Yep.
Jay to SmackDown, though, we know a bloodline civil war is happening. And I feel like it's easier to write an angle like that when you've got all the pieces in one place. This also ties into a pick that I make later in the draft for SmackDown because I think they're going to try and go really crazy with this. And if I'm being perfectly honest, as it stands right now, I'm not totally convinced Damien's just retaining against Jay. Because, like, the
Nice.
biggest hurdle to me, right, in this Bloodline Civil War is how do you reasonably get Jay and Jimmy on the same page? Well, if they're bound by a common cause, and that's destroying Solo's bloodline. But Jay has no skin in that game right now, unless they either A, cost him the world title after beating Priest, or Solo just beats him for it and he goes to SmackDown with it. And we have two short term world heavyweight champions before Solo goes on a nice run with it. Because as you and I have talked about, when Triple H has long reigns, I think he's cool with having shorter reigns in between until he's ready for the next long reign. And who knows if the world heavyweight title would go to SmackDown because we agree the Universal title would go to Raw. I could very easily see Solo being the next dominant reign. It'd be fitting given that he's like the new tribal chief. So, given that Jay would lose the world title in my fantasy booking, he may still have problems with Jimmy, but now the new bloodline, the Neo bloodline, has kind of hurt both of them. And then you get Roman in the mix, and they're all on the same page for the Civil War because you need to make it believable. I mean, especially the Roman Jay relationship too, because I don't think any of us have forgotten about all the trauma there. And plus, I like main event Jey Uso. I've already told you, Ashton, that I don't think he should forgive Jimmy, and I don't want to see them as a tag team again. So I do want to see Jay get his rub as a singles guy and get his flowers as a singles guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he beats Priest to me, goes to it with SmackDown, so SmackDown is world champion, loses it quickly to Solo or because of Solo or whatever, preferably just to Solo. And then yeah, we have all the tension needed for this bloodline kind of civil war. And then Apollo on NXT. I like Apollo. He's a solid guy. Again, I'm half-hearted with this because this is supposed to be Grimes, but I could see Apollo maybe being in the NA title picture again and stuff like that. I just feel like they don't really care about Apollo. I'm surprised he wasn't a part of the cuts, but I think yeah, with NXT scheme being more like in ring based and a lot of like work rate people, I think he just fits the NXT scheme best right now. So that pretty much concludes the first round. Second round to you, bud.
Okay. Well, we've already had one title transfer, so fuck it. I'm gonna do another one. Fuck it. I'll do it again. Um,
Yeah.
I'm swapping women's titles as well. I am going to put Bailey on Raw. I'm going to put Becky Lynch, who is now our Raw Women's Champion, or really I think, is it WWE now or World Champion, Women's Champion? Which one does Becky
Uh,
have? I think hers is the
it,
World, right?
World, yeah,
Yeah.
World Women's Championship.
So I'm putting the WWE Women's Champion on Raw and the World Women's Champion on SmackDown. And as far as my NXT pick, I'll keep it along the same lines for the women. Maxine Dupree.
Oh, nice, nice.
Since we're keeping it as far as women go, so as far as an explanation, really it's the same explanation for the title swap. I want new fields. Bailey conquered Io. She has overcome her demons as far as damage control goes. She slayed the monster that she created. That whole situation. Becky is going to have most likely a blow off match with Liv Morgan at Backlash that I'm assuming she will win. So we move on then. We move on. Becky doesn't have to work with Liv anymore. She can move on to a new field of contenders. She gets to work with the damage control women, which I know she has a long storied history with Asuka, but I feel like she's never really gotten to work with specifically Io before. I know she's worked with Kylie before. She actually saved Kylie from Charlotte's reckless ass.
Yeah,
But so that should be interesting. We also have her with the potential to work with Naomi, with Jade, potentially, Bianca. There's a lot of potential for Becky to open up to having a new world of women to work with, and that's exciting to me. So Becky to SmackDown, and again Bailey to Raw. I already assume that Liv is going to be winning a world championship for Rhea to beat her for when Rhea comes back. And so I think that Bailey is a perfect opponent for her. Did you know that Bailey and Liv Morgan have never had a singles match for a title before?
that's pretty wild to think about, actually.
Exactly. And now with Liv
Yeah,
going full heel, I think that Bailey is an even better candidate to be her face foil than Becky.
yeah, definitely.
So that works out. Liv gets to beat Becky for the title. We don't get this situation where like Tiffany, and that's another thing. Becky gets to work with Tiffany again. They cooked in NXT according to people who watched those matches.
Nice, nice. That's
So
good shit.
that's all good shit. And as far as Maxine goes, I think most people would agree she could probably use a run in NXT. She didn't really get one before getting called up because they were going to attach her to Max Dupree when that was LA Knight's name. So getting a proper run in NXT would be good for her. Plus, she's been showing up in NXT a lot lately anyway, so let's make it official, just like with Ivar.
There you go. All right. Second round for me, Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. I've got to Raw Kevin Owens, NXT Maxine.
Oh my
Um,
God, we had the same pick.
yeah, and to SmackDown Logan Paul. This is
Oh
another
my
thing that I
God. Wait,
this
Logan
is
Paul's
another thing.
already on SmackDown though, isn't he?
Well, no, because I told you on WWE.com he's listed as a free agent at least.
Oh
And I
my
asked you
God, that's
straight up
clever. I love
if
that.
I could use,
Yeah, that's
yeah, and then you
genius.
said yes. I have the Facebook receipts. Um,
I
so
love
yeah,
it.
when
I
I
love
said,
it.
guys, that I asked Ashton a lot of questions, I came ready for this. So yeah,
No, dude,
I
it's
mean,
really funny. You'll see. You'll see. It's funny though, because yeah, you'll see. Go ahead.
yeah, but Kevin Owens, I've kind of explained this to you guys before, and I'm even more convinced after the beatdown he suffered. I could see at Backlash Kevin having one more SmackDown match against Solo, losing that match, obviously, and then just going on the Raw brand, which obviously Backlash would be after the draft, but just having his fat last official, I guess, match on SmackDown before he really starts on Raw. And yeah, I just think Kevin's going to go back to being a heel and feuding with Sammy, which really depresses me because I love babyface Kevin Owens. And to be honest, like I just want heel Chad Gable to be Intercontinental Champion, but I'm not convinced we're getting that. I really just think we're going to do the Kevin Sammy thing again because to me, when I look at it, right, and because I've really been thinking about this, because with Maxine, I don't have much to say. I just think NXT, her whole thing is, can she get better or can she shine? And I feel like NXT, she'd be around characters that would both encourage that and discourage that. So that'd be interesting. And then Logan Paul, just US title. He's a douche. And like, I feel like, SmackDown, he just seems to fit really well in the SmackDown scheme. With Kevin, though, just because he was the most exciting to me of this round, I could just picture his rationale because I remember the kind of promos he'd cut on NXT, where even things that were done out of genuine kindness and respect, he would internalize as disrespect because he's just that insecure. And he'd be like, and imagine, I'm walking, getting ready for my match, getting ready for my triple threat match. And Sammy felt the need, rather than being a friend and encouraging me, shoving his Intercontinental title in my face because Sammy had it over his shoulder and he told Kevin, like, go get yours. But Kevin now, because he got pinned in that triple threat and now he's gotten his ass beaten here, he'd be like, oh, well, Sammy was out winning titles and, retaining in his hometown, Montreal. I was getting bloodied by the bloodline. And where was he? Nowhere. And it'd be even more of a gut punch too, because Sammy was originally so upset that him and KO got separated. He even got mad at Jimmy Uso or Jey Uso, excuse me, for like 2 seconds because he's like, we lost the tag titles and now Kevin's not even here and now he's back and he doesn't even want to be friends with Sammy. They're doing it again, and I know I don't want it, but we also know me. I'm enough of a douchebag that I'll get on board with it within like 2 weeks, and I'll be like, yeah, Sammy, you were a shitty friend, and like, how fucking dare you? So yeah, that'll probably be the IC title feud for the summer. At least again, my prediction. And yeah, nothing really to say about the other 2 round picks. I am excited what Maxine could do in NXT, but we'll just have to see what happens there. But I guess on to the third round. So partner, who do you got going where?
See, this is where we get to have some more fun because third round, I am swapping one more set of titles, and it is the mid card titles. I'm drafting
Okay.
Logan Paul to Raw and Sami Zayn to SmackDown. So you achieved putting Sami and Kevin on the same show by putting Kevin on Raw. I'm sending Sami to SmackDown so as to be Kevin's reinforcements against the current iteration of the Bloodline until they fail again, and then we get the turn.
Yeah. God damn it. God damn it.
Because
Oh, I
I
love it
feel
though.
like it's like a situation where Sammy's gonna want to go to war with Kevin, and Kevin's gonna be like, "I don't have it in me anymore, Sammy. They hit me with their car. You don't understand what I've been through." And Sammy's gonna be like, "Kevin, you gotta pick yourself up and keep fighting." And Kevin is not gonna have any of
I love
it.
your version of just old and tired Kevin Owens.
Well,
If he's gonna
dude,
be heel
did
again,
you
I
see him
need that
last
to happen.
Friday? Like, God, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, like, no, I need that. I need a Kevin Owens that isn't even entitled or bitter like what I have. No, tired KO is so much better. Like, Sammy, I didn't want to power bomb you on the apron again, but you just kept pushing it. I told you I didn't want to fight the bloodline.
So
You
Kevin
should have
literally
left alone,
justifies it
Sammy.
as like, Sammy, I love you like a brother, but I know what war with you feels like, and it is a hell of a lot easier than war with the bloodline. So I'll choose that over them any day of the week.
Kevin, how could you do this? How could you be such a pain in my ass? Fuck.
So yeah,
Oh,
and then
man.
Logan Paul to Raw feels like a lot of fun to me, honestly. I know he's gonna be on the same show as McAfee again, which is always great because they're kind of buddies. Yeah, Logan Paul to Raw feels like a lot of fun. Hopefully, we get more interesting mid card title contenders for Logan. I know Gunther's not going to be interested. Maybe we even get like an interesting situation where maybe like a Marcel Bartel challenge him. Maybe like a Finn Balor could challenge him for that title. Could be a lot of fun with Logan on Raw, in my opinion. And my NXT pick again, kind of. We're staying predictable with NXT. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with NXT. Akira Tozawa to NXT, keeping up with the former members of the Alpha Academy who have been told off now by Chad going to NXT.
Yeah, okay. Next round for me. God, it's funny the similarities we have in our drafts, but also like the differences. Next round for me. So this is the third round. Ilya to Raw, Otis
Yikes.
Otis to NXT, and Bronson Reed to SmackDown.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
yeah, I mean Ilya already beat Shinsuke on Raw. I feel like they kind of put feelers out for him there.
Yeah.
Um, Sure, and again, my intention was realism with this draft. So if people are like, "Man, John, that sucks," I know. So they
Yeah,
probably
yeah, we're trying. I mean, we're trying to make this as realistic as possible without sucking as much as possible, but sometimes you just know something's coming and you just have to embrace the suck.
I am excited to share my Raw fourth round pick because it's pretty unique and out there. I'm curious how you guys will feel about it. Maybe you'll feel nothing. I generally don't feel anything with wrestling anymore because it just keeps hurting me. But yeah, Ilya beat Shinsuke, and so they're probably thinking Raw for him. Can't wait to see him beat Gunther again. And then I gotta tell you, man, with Otis, I really like him still. And you know what actually gave me encouragement, because I still haven't gone back and watched Raw in full. I've watched like both the WWE YouTube, and then I like the WWE on Fox or WWE on USA YouTubes, because they do like the extended segments. They finally do like the full segments on their channels. And so I watched the full Gable heel promo explanation, whatever segment. When he got to Otis, Otis actually got a decent pop from the crowd. I think this crowd still
Yeah,
wants to
because
really get
he's the
behind
only
Otis.
guy in that group that the crowd thinks could actually beat Gable's ass if he wanted to.
Yeah, and I think, they're still endeared by him and still, enjoy him on a certain level. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I want to see what this guy can really do as a singles act, like, upper mid card to main event. I'm telling you right now, I don't care if other people aren't into this, because I'm into this. I want to see Otis versus Obafemi. And I want to see it where like Otis gets to cut promos and really show a personality and like get the big title fight. So Otis to me on the NXT side is one of the more exciting picks I've had this draft, because again, nothing against Apollo, but this wasn't supposed to be a spot. This is supposed to be Cameron Grimes, so I'm still a bit wounded by that release.
Yeah.
Maxine is cool and everything, but I honestly don't even know if she'll make it to the next calendar year. Otis is the first time for NXT that I get excited, because I've always seen a lot in this dude, and I've griped forever and a day about how they wasted him winning Money in the Bank, because I wanted to see that Roman matchup, even though I knew it would have been a failed cash in. That wasn't the point. The point was to make him, and so I feel like him versus Oba would be a lot of fun. And then who does? Oh yeah, SmackDown. Bronson Reed. It's simple, really. I think he's just going to fail against Sammy, but I think WWE really likes Bronson. I don't blame them for liking Bronson. I think he's a very dependable big guy. I'm not really that into him. Oddly enough, I feel like I really started to get into him when he beat Okada in New Japan, and then I just cooled off on him again.
Right.
But, he's solid. And especially with the world title, like if I'm right that Jay beats Priest and he goes with it, obviously I see Solo winning it, but, maybe I'm wrong and maybe it gets a bit more time and maybe Bronson could even challenge. So, because they just like to seem to throw Bronson in those spots. So I think, he'd fit this SmackDown scheme that I got going on pretty well. And that's essentially it. So we move on to the fourth round. I'm liking the pace we've got going on here. So what do you got for the fourth round, bud?
Yeah, the fourth round is the first round that I'm not just doing a title swap, and this is also just a huge fucking shakeup across the board. So just to rip the band-aid off immediately, I also have Otis going to NXT here. So we have
Yes.
that in common. But dude, Raw to SmackDown, this is huge. Bianca Belair to Raw, Drew McIntyre to SmackDown.
Ooh, I like that. That's bold.
That
That's
yeah.
bold. Yeah.
So Bianca to Raw, she follows Bailey, which means that she can stay beefing with her long term if she needs to. But also, I really just wanted to bulk up Raw's women's division because I feel like it's really weak right now. I ended up drafting a grand total of 3 women to Raw and
Yeah.
only 2 women to SmackDown. So I did end up increasing the number of active women on Raw by 1. Although I guess technically I did send Maxine to NXT, but I don't really kind of count her because she's never going to be like competing for a women's championship. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so I've sent 3 higher level women to Raw, 1 very low level woman to NXT. As far as from Raw, and then yeah, the 2 and really one of the women that I sent to SmackDown wasn't even from Raw. It was someone else that we'll talk about later. But I'm spoiling myself. Anyway, so Bianca really is someone that can carry a division on her shoulders by herself if need be. I think we've seen her do that in the past.
Yeah.
And this also builds towards the eventual Bianca Rhea match, which I think is a really good WrestleMania goal for WrestleMania 41. Bianca versus Rhea is a match that I think both of those women have wanted to do for a very long time now at
Yeah.
WrestleMania. And now that becomes possible with Bianca and Rhea being on the same brand. So
Yeah.
this move achieves a lot. So that's one. And then Drew to SmackDown, kind of an interesting move just because it keeps him on the same brand as Damian Priest. And I literally just said I wanted Priest to have new contenders. But I don't know. I feel like this also just kind of gets Drew away from Cody. and I don't want Drew fucking around with Cody. I want Drew on a brand where it feels like he can actually win the world title, and I just feel like Cody is literally not dropping that title to anyone not named Gunther.
Yeah.
And that's another reason I put Cody on Raw, because he, like I already talked about it, he can be Gunther's victim. Um, but yeah, so now Cody's on Raw, and I want to get Drew the fuck away from him. So we put him on SmackDown, even if it means putting him on the same show as Priest. Plus, now it gives him the opportunity to get revenge on Priest by taking the title away from him at Clash at the Castle this year.
Ah, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, there's a lot going on here. And yeah, McIntyre to SmackDown made sense in my mind when I put it together. And again, Otis completes the trio of Alpha Academy people that Chad really just talked down to and tore apart with his words on Monday, to NXT. So
Yeah.
that's my fourth round. How about yours?
All right. This is where things get a little exciting. I'm most excited about my fourth round Raw pick. So to go through it, I have Blair Davenport going to Raw.
Oh my God.
I have Tozawa going to NXT,
Oh my God.
and I have Shinsuke going to SmackDown.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait. Wait. But Ilya.
Yeah, I mean, he beat Shinsuke on Raw, and Shinsuke lost another match to Sheamus on Raw. So I'm thinking like maybe they want to press a reset with Shinsuke, make him menacing again on the SmackDown brand. And honestly, I'm tired of my guy eating fucking L's.
Okay.
Shinsuke is still so good. And like honestly, that world heavyweight title when they made it, I'm like, okay, that universal title is now just for Cody, Roman, and that like real upper tier exclusively. That world title's for everybody else. And by everybody else, I did have Nakamura in mind. I would like to see him get a fucking run with it.
Oh, man.
Hopefully. I'm not really holding my breath on that. Tozawa, much like Otis, God, Tozawa is kind of a tragedy to me because I don't want to be like one of those IWC marks because he's done really well with what he's been given, right?
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
a grown
I was
32
going to
year old
say,
man.
as far as Otis goes, I could unironically see Otis being an NXT World Champion within the next year, for real.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I said it. I meant to talk about Tozawa because Tozawa is my fourth round pick for NXT. And
Right.
so yeah, Tozawa is kind of tragicomic to me. Because I'm not again, I don't want to be one of those IWC marks. I'm a 32-year-old man. I'm not about to get hypertensive over, some random wrestler. But I think sometimes people forget how good Tozawa is from his PWG work because he's just done so well with the comedy. I'd like to give this guy his motor back in NXT personally. Even if him and Otis would be a tag team for a little bit in the tag division, because ain't no way Tozawa's beating Oba for the North American title. But
No.
if it would get on a smaller guy,
Right.
like then I would absolutely want to put Tozawa in that picture. Blair, though, I'll tell you what gave me confidence in Blair, even just being drafted, period, was her losing to Soul
Dude,
on Spring Breaking.
we should have at least coordinated the order that we're doing this in, because I put my NXT lit picks at the very end of my drafts. Like, I have my NXT draftees, the people that are going from NXT to Raw or SmackDown, at the very end of my Raw and SmackDown lists, and you're doing them third and fourth.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, I mean, fuck it. You already have yours out. I literally also have Blair and Ilya to Raw.
Dude, we actually agreed on Blair to Raw. That's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, I had
Yeah,
Blair. I had Blair eighth and Ilya ninth.
bro, I thought I pulled Blair out of my ass. So to know that we share that is actually pretty cool to me. And again,
No,
I
yeah,
felt
it was the spring breaking match with Sol Ruka. It's like she put Sol Ruka over. That was her last match in NXT. I think she's going up because, like, again, Raw needs women. So I had Bianca and Bailey and Blair as the three big women that I was sending to Raw. And the only woman that Raw loses in this whole, well, the only women that Raw loses in this whole exchange are Becky and Maxine, which, like, Maxine shouldn't even count because, like, she's a woman, yeah, and she could eventually be good, but right now she's a nothing.
yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about the prospect of Blair to Raw because you know what? I'm kind of, I've gotten past whatever petty whatever I had with her like in Stardom and stuff. I think her being away from Ocean Spray helps considerably because he's such a douche. And I think she's really fucking solid in the ring. And so I feel like she could really up the in-ring game on Raw. And yeah, I'd just be very curious to see what she can do. Yeah, Blair is like a big question mark because I almost feel like NXT has underutilized her in a way. And I did enjoy the two matches with Soul, which by the way, Soul won both of those matches, which again, like you said, she put her over. like big time. So like, what else is there even to do? I already talked about Giselle and I already talked about Shinsuke. So yeah, that pretty much concludes fourth round for me. Go on to the fifth round. You open, bud. So who's going in your fifth round here?
All right, again, not quite as heavy of a shakeup here, but a pretty decent sized one. Going to Raw, Bianca's husband, Montez Ford.
Nice.
Going to NXT, Luke Gallows. And going to SmackDown, Sethington.
Interesting. Interesting.
Not
Especially because Seth
only
is on the shelf right now.
not only can Priest and Drew not escape this motherfucker, but
Yeah.
Cody just cannot have him on his same brand. It's just never gonna happen.
Yeah, there you
Cody,
go.
you're never gonna have your Shield.
Damn. Yeah, it
Uh,
got used up pretty fucking well though, so make it count, you
yeah,
fucking cut
yeah,
ass.
yeah, dude. And plus, I mean, honestly, this pick is almost irrelevant because Seth might not be around for a while.
Yeah.
He
Dude
is,
was fucked.
yeah, his knee is in bad shape. We might not see him until Q3, like October, November, December, if not 2025.
Yeah, redesign, rebuilt, reclaim part 2, motherfucker.
No
Like it's
kidding. No kidding, man.
yeah.
It was nasty. So, yeah, this is kind of a pick for the future in a way for Seth. Um, and really it's mostly to continue his unfinished beef with Drew. But there's also someone else that I sent over to SmackDown that he's got unfinished beef to continue with. I basically just completely moved a couple storylines from one program to another. And yeah, Seth and Drew is one of them, and there's another person involved in that is coming next round. Um, but then yeah, Montez to Raw. He gets to go to the same, he gets to stay on the same brand as his wife. I think it's important to keep married couples together. If I'm aware
Yeah.
that there's a married couple and I draft one of them, I'll try and draft the other. So yeah. And then yeah, Luke Gallows is already on NXT again, just making it official. So there you go.
All right, well, fifth round for me. To Raw, Santos Escobar, NXT, Natalia, and to SmackDown, Carmelo Hayes. So with
Bro, I
Santos
swear to
on
God,
Raw,
again, Mello was my eighth pick to SmackDown.
that's that one's not as surprising as Blair. I still can't believe that you and I were kind of hive mind on Blair. Um, Santos, I mean, yeah, I think he's classy as fuck. I fucking love the dude. Ideally, he would be on the same brand as the world heavyweight title, but I don't know. I could see it being a shakeup. I think it's honestly, I see a greater chance of him just going to Raw so that he can keep like tagging up with Dom than Dom going to SmackDown because I'm not so convinced of the Judgment Day being split up. But again, I'd prefer Santos to be on the brand with the world heavyweight title because I have dreams still. I mean, they're dying, but I still have them. And with Natalia on NXT, it's very simple. They've made a big stink about the NXT Women's Championship being one of the few titles that Natalia hasn't won, and now she's in this beef with Lola Vice. And I feel like whether we like Natalia or not, it seems like the women's locker room really respects her. And Natalia probably thinks very highly of herself. I mean, she has a heart, ego comes with the territory. And she probably wants to be where like the next generation of women's wrestlers are so that she can kind of mold them and train them and stuff like that. So I feel like this is Natalia's third act, so to speak.
Bro, do you
And she's
remember
going to
that
be,
draft? Do you remember that draft where SmackDown drafted Natalia and they got a shot of the War Room and they were all celebrating like they just drafted like the next big thing that was gonna like win them the ratings war?
that was utterly bewildering. And
Yeah, we got
I choose
Natalia. Fuck yeah, we're getting the dub, baby.
that should have been the war room before when they were sewing. It should have been like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then the reaping was getting Natalia, and they should have been like, well, this fucking sucks. What the fuck? So yeah, totally backwards reactions to me. But yeah, I just see NXT as being kind of her third act. She's being really involved with the brand. First with challenging Roxanne, and now this stuff with Lola. And we already know that she's mentoring, quote unquote, Carmen Petrovich. So yeah, like I just think they'll make it official. They'll put a ring on it, and they'll get Natalia to NXT. And then Melo to SmackDown. They already did a trial run with him, a lot like Ilya on Raw. And yeah, I just
Yep.
feel like they're gonna run with it. And yeah, Melo will go on that SmackDown solo run. So
Yep.
I could definitely see him being a US champion. I wouldn't be opposed if they wanted to turn him face quickly after having the heel run in NXT and he's the one to fucking beat Logan Paul. I know there are some people that are like, but what about LA Knight? No. So yeah, that's essentially my fifth round and on to round number 6. Who do you got, bud?
Raw gets Bobby Lashley.
Nice.
NXT gets Carl Anderson.
Nice.
Wait, you actually sounded excited about that. Okay.
I think it's realistic, so I definitely approve of the logic there.
And finally, SmackDown gets CM Punk.
Oh God, I don't have to watch him. Yes.
You don't watch SmackDown anymore?
I won't watch his segments at least. I'll do what I do with Cody. I'll skip his fucking shit.
Oh,
So it's like, yeah.
well,
Although,
yeah.
yeah, come to
So,
think of it, I think I do prefer SmackDown to Raw right now. But yeah. Yeah.
but regardless, we're getting the completion of the CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre haterade triangle.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man.
I'm moving that whole thing to SmackDown.
If I was more of a mark, that would make me want to tear my tricep. Fuck
So
you, Felonious.
those three guys can feud amongst themselves while they try and figure out who's going to be the one to take the title off of Priest. Probably CP Monk, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Um, actually, no, it'll be Drew, and then Punk will beat him for the title. Bro, what if Punk wins Money in the Bank this year?
Don't do the Ashton cackle. Suck that back in. That's awful.
Had to, dude. It's perfect. He's already done it twice. It fits his character. He's not capable of competing in full matches anymore.
Oh God, so what is it gonna be like Alexa Bliss in the ladder match? Take very few bumps and just be like, "Oh, everybody's down. I guess I'll scale and I'll take it." He's so fucking old and useless.
He
Jesus
is.
Christ.
He really is. Dude, I'm making that my pick right now. I am predicting that CM Punk is winning Money in the Bank. Drew McIntyre is beating Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship at Clash in the Castle, and CM Punk is cashing in on him to beat him for the title.
The only redeeming thing about it is I can already hear preemptively the cackle you are going to have if you're right. And I'm just being straight up with you because I know you value honesty. I am gonna want to hate you so much in that moment, and I probably will, but then I'll get over it because I'm just hoping that CM Punk will get his fucking ass beat. I am so sick of this dude.
Oh
Oh
my
my God.
god.
I hate how much sense everything you just said makes because I actually prefer when you. I don't even know if you were semi serious about this, but when you suggested that because Drew was kind of lambasting the Money in the Bank in that one promo, if he would just be a hypocrite, win it, and then he would do the cash in.
Yeah.
But if that fucking ass face would do it, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I can see it. That's the horrible thing is I can fucking see it. Is this Money in the dude? If Money in the Bank is really Tiffany and Punk,
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ.
oh
Kill me.
no.
Kill me. Like,
So
God damn.
anyway, Bobby
Yeah, please
Lashley to
continue.
Raw. I mean, yeah, Lashley to Raw. I, I think that Bronson Reed, since you drafted him to SmackDown, I wanted to bring him up for why I kept him on Raw. I think he'd be a compelling challenger for Cody's title. Actually, um,
Yeah, agreed.
I think Bobby Lashley would be too. Actually, I don't think either one of them would beat him for it, but I think that they would be good practice runs for his eventual loss to Gunta.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Plus, Lashley gets to stay with Montez,
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
and it gets them
Um,
both the fuck away from Karrion Cross.
yes. All right. Sixth round for me. We've got to
Oh, my
Raw Angel.
NXT person was Carl Anderson, by the way.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
because
I just assumed
I
we were
already
gonna keep
sent
on Charlotte.
Gallows there, and I'm just completing the tag team.
There you go. So yeah, sixth round for me. We got from Raw Angel Garza, SmackDown Lyra Valkyria, and if you're wondering why I saved NXT for last, it's because it's one of my personal favorites for the NXT side of the draft. Chelsea Green. I fucking love her
Ah,
so much. Um, okay, so I'll talk about Chelsea last.
but we won't get
Lyra,
to
I
hear
think is
that
very.
announcement anymore because you won't be on the same brand as Samantha.
I know that does kind of suck, but we all have to make
Maybe
sacrifices.
Samantha
Uh,
can talk to Alicia, and they can get together and get Alicia to do something similar.
there you go. But so talk about Chelsea last because I am most excited about her. Lyra, it's straightforward. She'll be a new woman,
Oh
and
yeah, by the
like
way,
I
I
think
also have Lyra going to SmackDown.
amazing,
So our
amazing.
NXT picks are literally exactly the same so as
That
far as
is
people
fucking
coming from
insane.
NXT, like call ups,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, that is fucking insane to me, bro. I love it though. Um, but yeah, Lyra, just a new woman. I think she'd make a splash immediately, especially if Tiffany is one of the future champions. I find it very believable that Lyra could beat Tiffany for the title. And God, the sooner that happens, the better. Because I really do. I really, really like Lyra. And I'm even hopeful that her and Tatum can reunite one day because that relationship low key still fascinates me despite recent developments. Um, Angel to Raw again. It's about LDF really because Santos is round 5. Chelsea though, let's talk about Chelsea. This woman, man, fuck me. Okay, so in my ideal scheme, she does stay on Raw or go to SmackDown. She stays on a main roster brand because I want her to win Money in the Bank. Now, they're saying that they want to start treating NXT like a third brand again. I'll believe it when I see it because I would think, okay, then have NXT women in Money in the Bank then, because that would actually get me out of bed, even if Tiffany would fucking win and I'd hate it. But I want Chelsea to win the briefcase. I think she'd be hilarious with it. Let's be real. The briefcase is more of a character device than a championship device. What I mean about that is any champion that comes running in the bank never really has an impressionable reign, like ever. It's mainly the moments that they win the title that are memorable because it's the cash in like Priest cashing in on WrestleMania or at WrestleMania, that's going to be the most memorable part of his title reign, probably. So, it's just the way it goes. I feel like Money in the Bank is always better to accentuate characters and to do things with actual characters. And Chelsea would be a fucking riot with that briefcase. But why did I have her go to NXT then if I want this so bad? Chelsea as a character has problems with both Nick Aldis and Pierce. The only one that she doesn't have any kind of beef with because that relationship hasn't really gone off the ground is Ava. So I look at it for the Chelsea character as a clean slate. Okay, it's a new GM, it's a woman, so she might think of like her idea of girl power in her delusional mind. Like, oh, the reason Pierce and Aldous were against me, they just can't respect the kind of woman that I am. But Ava, you as a strong woman of authority, you can appreciate what I'm about. And then when Ava, of course, wakes her up, it's going to be like, oh my God, I made a terrible mistake. But also, I got to say, Chelsea is a great worker. I do hope one day she gets a character where she can show more what she can do in the ring because I feel like a comedy character is always more limited in that sense traditionally. And I'm going to be honest. When I think about NXT Women's North American Champion, I think Chelsea would be a good fit for that. I really do. I never see her as like a women's world champion in
Oh, I could
NXT,
see her as an
but
NXT
North
Women's Champion.
you know what? You have more faith than I do, not necessarily in her, because I think she's talented enough for it. I just think between the character and how WWE sees the character, I don't see it right now. I'd love to be proven wrong. But North American women's title, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think again, she could be really, really fun and really hysterical with that. And yeah, I just think it's a whole new set of women for her to interact with. And yeah, I'm just really excited for her. And if she doesn't get drafted, I'm still excited for her because she's starting to get over. That women's battle royal on Raw. She was actually getting Chelsea Chance at one point when she got back in the ring after being eliminated. And then when she was properly eliminated, that the referee saw it, there were boos. People were unhappy that she was gone. She's starting to get over.
Yep.
And like, yeah, so I almost wonder if drafting her in NXT is a mistake because I don't want to cut that woman out for the knees. I'm just looking at this from a character standpoint. She's burned bridges
Oh
with
God,
Adam and
yeah. You
Nick.
got to
Like
take
clearly,
into account that she's going to be in front of that Full Sail audience. Ew.
oh God, yeah, and they suck too. But yeah, just thinking about how she is with Pierce and Aldis, she might think like NXT is a safe haven and like whatever. Or
Yeah.
it'd be even funnier if she goes undrafted and then she complains about it on Twitter. But we'll see. And then yeah, I already talked about Lyra, I already talked about Angel. So let's move on to round number 7. Who you got, bud?
Well, I'm going to complete 2 factions and make a pretty big blockbuster trade or draft, I guess, draft pick. So the factions I'm completing, I'm going to send Angelo Dawkins to Raw to complete Pride, going to Raw.
Nice.
I'm going to send Michin to NXT to complete, whatever that group is with her and Gallows and Anderson. What are they
Nice.
called again? They're not Bullet Club. Is it the OC? Yeah, it's the OC.
Yeah, the OC.
Since AJ has gotten away from them and they're not really part of that group anymore. Plus, I think Michin works in NXT really well. I think that she going back to NXT is where she's been the most over. I think you and I were both baffled when she got called up to the main roster in the first place back in the day. So
Yeah.
her going back to NXT makes a lot of sense to me. I think she's another contender for that North American title, and I think she's another one that could potentially win the NXT Women's Championship that she's never held that before.
Yes.
And finally, probably my favorite pick of my draft to SmackDown, Andrade.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's muy caliente.
Raw ain't doing shit with him. He's been appearing on SmackDown anyway. He's already joined the LWO at this point. It just makes sense. Plus, unlike you, I'm not sending LDF to Raw, so that feud can continue with Andrade as a part of it now.
Yeah, true. True. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I think it makes a lot of sense. Plus, let's get some gold on this man, please. I don't even care if he has to beat Sami Zayn, and frankly, even if he doesn't, that match would be a banger.
It would be. It would be. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm all about the Andrade, and I'll say too, just as a bit of like outside commentary. Um, I did not like how easily Priest just disposed of him on Raw, 'cause that made him feel like another one of the guys. Because
Yeah,
like the whole point that Priest wanted to make was, I don't need you, you guys need me. So it's almost like they made a continuum that is shared by Andrade, JD, and Dominic, and I don't like that at all. Like, because I've even told you I like the idea at the time of Priest having a match for the title with Andrade, and that like the way Priest just handled him,
yeah.
I'm like, even if it was after a tag match, I'm like, I don't know about that one, Chief. So I definitely, I'm very sympathetic to where your mindset is as
Yeah,
far as
you
that
and I
goes.
both have Carmelo Hayes going to SmackDown. I think if I had it my way, since I did draft Sami Zayn to SmackDown as the Intercontinental Champion, I would love for Mello to be the one that beats him for that title, and then Andrade be the one that beats Mello.
Nice. Okay.
Think about the matches. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
All
All
right,
right.
seventh round.
Um. Yeah, this one should be a quicker round, save for maybe one pick. I have Umberto de Raw. Um. Piper Niven to NXT. So again, I'm completing the tag team of Chelsea and Piper,
Yep.
and I'm continuing the LDF faction for Raw. But then I have Gunther going to SmackDown.
Oh
Um,
my god, you're taking him away from Cody?
yeah, yeah, I know. I feel like, I don't mind Gunther taking like the hero's journey to the ultimate prize because I would definitely have him win the world heavyweight title. But yeah, I figure a nice shake up there. He just lost the Intercontinental title. He's still kind of finding his bearings. And I feel like the draft is always a reset for a lot of people. So I think he won the Intercontinental title originally on SmackDown. And now he goes
Yeah.
back to SmackDown and, to conquer again, maybe. And
Hmm.
so yeah, there's that. And again, I already explained the tag team, so I don't really want to overstay the welcome. We're keeping a great pace. Round number 8, you start, my friend. Who do you
Well,
got?
you already know what my Raw and SmackDown picks are here. Belair Davenport to Raw, Carmelo Hayes to SmackDown. We kind of established that because you beat me to the punch.
Yes.
My NXT pick, though, is Dominic Mysterio.
Nice. I like that for him.
It gives him more time to really kind of get his shit together in the ring because he's still really fucking mid in the ring. We know he's over as hell as a heel in front of any crowd, but this gives him more seasoning that he desperately needs. It breaks up the Judgment Day further because again, it can't just be like him, Finn, JD, and Mommy. It gets him away from Mommy, which I think is also good for him because at the end of the day, right now he is over, but why is he over? Is he over because of anything that he has to do with himself, or is he over because of his situation, because of Rhea?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's find out. Let's put him by himself somewhere.
Yeah.
And if he's going to fail anywhere, it's best for him to fail in NXT where no one's going to see him do it than for him to fail on national television in front of millions.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, definitely.
So let's
Definitely.
find out. Let's find out how good Dominic Mysterio really is at this heel stuff, or if it's a situational thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Next round, I'm most excited about NXT for the next round. But hold on here, because it's round 8, right? So
Yes,
for
it is.
Raw, I've got Elektra Lopez, again, continuing LDF. And plus, I think she'd be an interesting addition to their women's division. SmackDown, I have Ludwig Kaiser. So he gets to continue on with Gunther after Giovanni Vinci got the shit beat out of him. But then to NXT, because I did not forget about these guys. And I say guys, because I'll admit that his tag team partner is my ninth round pick. I have Ashanti the Adonis to NXT. I am very worried.
Bro,
Well,
our fucking link, I swear to God, I'm actually like mildly annoyed by this because you've gone and spoiled my last two NXT picks.
wow. So you also had the mindset of just putting Ashanti and Cedric
Yeah.
on
I was
NXT.
going to build up to it too. I was going to say Cedric is my ninth pick, and for number 10, it's his tag partner, Ashanti. But no, you're just going to beat me to it. That's great.
Yeah, I apologize, man. I'm not doing this deliberately.
No, I
It
know.
just yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbled. We'll have to coordinate next time we do a mock draft. I think it's the one mistake we made. But yeah, no, I'm you know what though, I will say, man, having a conversation with you about it, I'm glad you and I are of the same mindset because I feel like they stopped the vignettes. Like we haven't seen anything recently from these guys. And again, I'm not saying this because I wanted them to get fired. I'm saying this just because I'm being honest about my feelings. I'm surprised they weren't a part of this latest round of cuts because when the vignettes stopped and everything, I'm like, did they change their minds? Because we know how fickle WWE is. I don't care if it's Vince or Triple H. Triple H apparently inherited some of the fickleness because, like, oh, you'll always have a job here, Cameron. And then, fucking Endeavor was like, oh, I'm not so sure about that, Chief. We got let go. So I didn't know if Ashante and Cedric would be in a similar boat, but I like the idea of this tag team. I like the idea that these are two disparate personalities that come together and they're both amazing and scintillating in the ring. And look, let's be honest, okay? Because I know like Foster is a fan of these guys, and I love Foster to death. I'd give him a kidney if he needed it. But I can't stand fucking Frazier and Axiom as tag team. I think they're a bunch of nerds. I think the NXT tag titles, I really don't give a shit about them. It's funny how you can go from a tag team that I did care about because even Baron was starting to grow on me on the Wolf Dogs to now Frazier and Axiom, and it's probably going to go to AOP next, which doesn't move the needle at all. But if you would put the NXT tag titles on these guys, fuck yeah. Like I am so there. Like NXT tag team wrestling is so back with these guys as champions. So yeah, I really wanted to go out of my way to hype this up because this is my favorite pick of the draft is just rescuing these guys from obscurity
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I want to see them succeed. I mean, Cedric, there was a time where people literally were saying, please sign Cedric, and Triple H, oddly enough, was the one that gave the thumbs up.
Yep.
Let this guy loose. And Ashanti, I feel like we don't even know fully what Ashanti can do because I feel like it gets started for him and then the rug gets pulled out. Let him have a fucking run. So yeah, those are my eighth and ninth picks are Ashanti and Cedric. So I probably won't even mention like that or stay on that for the ninth round. But yeah, I definitely want to keep that tag team together. You clearly agreed. So yeah, and then I already mentioned Ludwig to SmackDown just to keep him with Gunther and Elektra to Raw to LDF round out LDF.
Yep.
So next round for you,
Uh,
bud.
well, you already know all of my picks in the ninth round: Ilya to Raw, Cedric to NXT, and Lyra to SmackDown. So, who are your Raw and SmackDown picks in the ninth round?
Raw and SmackDown. I hate this. I hate myself for this. Ninth round, Charlotte Flair. And ninth round for SmackDown, Nia Jax. Nia Jax, I fully believe. Charlotte's a question mark. Nia Jax, I fully believe, because I'll tell you what, I feel like she's done everything she can do on Raw. I mean, how many times are you going to lose to Becky or like start stuff with Liv? Because I know they started to beef a little bit. I think she's going to be a part of Solo's bloodline, dude. Straight up. I think when you come,
Ew.
yeah, I know. I'm not
So
thrilled
it's
about.
gonna be like her on Solo's side and then Naomi on the Usos side.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Oh
I fully see her being a part of Solo's bloodline. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
God.
I see it. Um,
Oh my.
yeah. So like, get ready because if she goes to SmackDown, I don't want anybody looking at me like you did this because no, I didn't. I just tried to warn y'all what was happening. So yeah, and then Charlotte to Raw. Why fucking not? I wish she'd retire, but she's not going anywhere. At least not until she gets 16 women's world titles. So just go to Raw and continue that streak there, I guess. All right. And yeah, I
I
guess rounding
guess
out the draft, bud.
I guess I do have some unique picks here. My
Yes.
last pick on Raw and SmackDown, because again, my final NXT pick was Ashanti the Adonis. My final pick to Raw, Baron Corbin.
Nice.
And my final pick to SmackDown, Tony D'Angelo.
Nice.
Do you hear my mom's pained screams in the background?
I do.
She sounds like she's having like labor pains or something.
Why would you
Jesus.
do this to me? Oh man.
So yeah, Corbin to Raw makes some sense to me. Another potential Cody Rhodes WWE title challenger.
Yeah.
Um, I think he has kind of rehabbed his image a little bit to the point that people might actually even be excited to see him challenge for a world
Yeah.
title at this point in his career. And then yeah, Tony D to SmackDown, because SmackDown feels like the place that the sort of younger, inexperienced. Holy shit! I'm sorry to cut myself off, but an amazing draft pick just happened. The Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl again this year. I'm just saying it right now.
Holy fuck. Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, Tony D'Angelo, because SmackDown feels like the place that like young, exciting talents go that aren't like finished products yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Tony D feels like he fits that mold, and I definitely think he's done in NXT. So anyway, who were your 10th round picks on Raw? Actually, all three, because we don't know who your last pick is in NXT either. So yeah, you're all three of your 10th round picks.
All right. Again, this is where my draft, and I thought I was very fair to myself, giving myself a 7.5 and striving for realism because I wasn't exactly enthused, but we'll see what WWE does in comparison. To Raw, Braun Breaker.
Nice.
To
Wait, that's
NXT.
he's not already part of the Raw roster?
No, because he's on SmackDown. He signed that contract with SmackDown at
Oh
least.
my god, I forgot about that. Jesus Christ. Great
Dude,
pick.
I know, right? So Braun Breaker to Raw, just to restart. Ivar to NXT, which I think you said
That
earlier.
was
So
my
I definitely
first
share that pick with you as
NXT
well.
pick, yeah.
Yeah. God, dude, we were just so uplinked, man. Goddamn. And then Ricochet to SmackDown.
Ah, you're sending him over there to continue working with Nakamura.
Yeah, I guess so. Dude, he has been getting a bit of a mini push lately, which almost makes me wonder if he's even going to be leaving Raw. To be honest, I had a genuine fear he was even going to win that four-way a few weeks ago. I was pleasantly surprised and just relieved when Jay won. Not that I hate Ricochet or anything, but like, come on, guys. Like, let's be serious. Do I really want to hear Damian Priest with that deep bellowing voice go against that baby voice? Like, no, no, that's not happening.
Priest is
So,
like, sit down, little man. And Ricochet just comes back with, no, I don't want.
and honestly, this kind of works for my scheme pretty well because here's the thing. On one hand, I'm a heartless piece of shit because I'm separating Ricochet and Samantha because we know that they're dating. Um, but on the other hand, though, I do put Ricochet on the same brand as Logan Paul, who humiliated Ricochet and, like, kind of threw it in his girlfriend's face. So I wouldn't even mind if Ricochet beat Logan for the U.S. title. I think other more deserving people are there. But given again that he's building momentum and he seems to be somewhat getting over, yeah, I mean, why the fuck not? Give him something. He's a Triple H guy. He's been a Triple H guy for a while. And yeah, Ivar, I think, has worked really well in NXT. I gotta say, Spring Break in Night 2 looks low key kind of ass to me, but the match I'm looking forward to most is definitely Ivar versus Oba. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I think those two are gonna cook. Meaty men slapping meat, baby. And then Braun on Raw. Look, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I look at my scheme on Raw, now that I'm looking at my draft in totality, and after having talking with this magnificent face right here, that's you, by the way, just so we're all keeping score. I realize that my Raw brand is Nepo out the ass because I have a Rhodes, I have a Flair, and I have a Breaker who's really a Steiner.
It was
I
really a Steiner.
yeah, I want to see Braun turn heel again and just spear Cody in half, just repeatedly. And yeah, so if Braun goes to Raw, he's my new number one pick to beat Cody because fuck you, Cody, and fuck your dreams. And so yeah, I just feel like with SmackDown, he's just kind of doing the Ryback thing where he's squashing people. I want to get him in a fucking program. I want to see him interrupt somebody and come for somebody. And why not come for the king? In his own words, if you come for the king, you better not miss. Well, he won't. That man's a walking fucking guillotine. So yeah, that concludes my draft. And yeah, I think that's it then, right? Yeah, we got through this at a pretty nice pace. So
We
there you go.
sure did. It only took just barely over an hour.
Do you want to, just as a final recap for everybody, just so they can keep score, go through our newly revised Raw, NXT, and SmackDown draft rosters? Just to say
Yeah,
again what they
sure.
were.
So for me, I'm sending to Raw Cody Rhodes, Bailey, Logan Paul. So the World Women's World. I should rephrase that. The World. Or wait, no, the WWE Women's. Wait, which championship does Bailey have? I hate the way that they've redone these.
The WWE Women's Championship.
Thank you. So the WWE, WWE Women's, and United States champions are swapping from Raw to SmackDown. I'm also sending Bianca Belair, Montez Ford, Bobby Lashley, and Angelo Dawkins from SmackDown to Raw. And then from NXT to Raw, I'm sending Blair Davenport, Ilya Dragunov, and Baron Corbin. To NXT, I'm basically just kind of reestablishing everyone that's already there. So Ivar, the three non-Chad Gable Alpha Academy people, Maxine Dupree, Akira Tozawa, and Otis. The three OC people from SmackDown, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Mishin. And then I'm sending Dominic Mysterio and the tag team of Cedric Alexander and Ashanti the Adonis to NXT. To SmackDown, I'm sending Damian Priest, Becky Lynch, and Sami Zayn. So again, the World Heavyweight Champion, Women's World Heavyweight Champion, and Intercontinental Champion all going to SmackDown. So we're flipping both of those sets of titles. I'm also sending Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Andrade to SmackDown from Raw. And then from NXT to SmackDown, I'm sending Carmelo Hayes, Lyra Valkyria, and Tony D'Angelo. John, for your rosters, you are sending Cody Rhodes. Actually, I just realized you have two championships on Raw, unless you are just straight up predicting Jey Uso to beat Damian Priest at Backlash.
Yeah, in my fantasy scheme, yeah, I do have Jey Uso kind of beating Damian because
Okay,
I feel like Judgment Day is not going to take kindly now. Damian's looking down on them, and they're going to try and prove their usefulness to him, but it's going to like blow up in their face, and then
right.
that's just how Judgment Day kind of implodes while
Okay.
staying for the same
So you're
brand.
sending Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, to Raw, as well as Kevin Owens, Ilya Dragunov, Blair Davenport, Santos Escobar. Wait, all of LDF. So Santos, Angel, Umberto, and Electra, plus Charlotte Flair and Braun Breaker.
Yes,
To NXT, you've got Apollo Crews, Maxine Dupree, Otis Tozawa, which again is the Alpha Academy trio, Natalia, Chelsea Green, and Piper Niven, that tag team, Shanti the Adonis and Cedric Alexander, that tag team, and of course Ivar.
yes,
And then to SmackDown, you're sending Jey Uso, who is your World Heavyweight Champion at this time,
yes,
Logan Paul, who is your United States Champion. So you are going to have two mid card championships. Or no, you're just reestablishing. Okay, right, because he's a free agent. So you're officially making Logan Paul a SmackDown superstar.
yeah,
Bronson Reed, Shinsuke Nakamura, Carmelo Hayes, Lyra Valkyria, Gunta, Ludwig Kaiser, Nia Jax, and Ricochet.
yes, yes.
All right, that does it.
Indeed. I do want to say as like an outside note, because I even I don't know if I said this to you before we went live, but like when you said that you were being a bit more creative and you also wanted to have fun with the draft, I said that I resisted that impulse. I was really tempted, man, to bring EO to Raw. I feel like EO,
See, and I really
yeah,
went into this with the intention of keeping Damage Control together, which also meant keeping them on SmackDown. Because if I wanted to draft them all to Raw, that's 4 draft picks, and I don't want to waste 4 draft picks on one faction coming from one roster to another when I could have just kept them where they were.
yeah. It shows you the belief that I have in LDF specifically because I brought them all together. Like I fucking love
I guess I
Santos,
don't
man.
understand though why you what the point was of bringing them from SmackDown to Raw. What are they going to do on Raw that they couldn't do on SmackDown?
You know, I just feel like it's fresh people. It gets away from Ray and the LWO, which I feel like is kind of a
So
cyclical
you
feud.
wanted to get them away from them.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
That's all you
eh,
need to say, man. That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I still see Santos as a main event player, even if nobody else does. Like,
Yeah,
he's fucking dope.
yeah,
Um,
he's awesome.
so yeah, that's our draft. I'm actually, again, I'm really, really pleased with how quickly we got through that. And yeah, I loved your picks. And yeah, the draft officially begins tomorrow on SmackDown. So, brother, before I take us home, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Absolutely not, my friend. Let's close on out of here. This was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to see what the real thing looks like. Also, you know what? There is one more thing that I will say. I want to just kind of go over and see what we had in common and see how many picks we had in common. So, Cody Rhodes to Raw is something that was unanimous for us.
Yes.
Ilya Dragunov and Blair Davenport to Raw was also unanimous for us, but that's it as far as people to Raw. To NXT, the unanimous picks were Alpha Academy and the Ashanti Cedric team. So 5. Half of our NXT roster we had in common.
Didn't we also agree on Ivar NXT?
Oh yeah, Ivar too. Yeah, so that's 6.
Yeah, we agreed on a
6.
lot of the NXT share of the draft.
6 of the 10. Yeah, yeah. The only ones that we didn't have in common were that was the Alpha Academy mom. I sent Gallows, Anderson, and Michin and Dom, and you sent Natalia, Chelsea, Piper, and Apollo.
Yeah.
And then to SmackDown, we agreed on sending the World Heavyweight Champion. We just disagreed on who that would be.
Yeah.
We agreed on Lyra and Mello, and I think that's actually it. We agreed mostly on NXT. We only had 3 agreements on Raw and SmackDown though, each.
I'm just pleased we had any agreements at all, honestly. I mean, you figure overlap is inevitable, but
I
like,
do
I feel like
love
with
that
us,
we had the exact same vibe on which NXT superstars are going where, though, because we agreed on Blair and Ilya to Raw and Mello and Valkyria to SmackDown. I think that's really cool. We have same
I
thing
still
as far
can't
as that
believe we
goes.
both had the same thought about Blair. Like, that's blowing. I honestly, it's either that or that we had the same thought about Ashanti and Cedric as well, because that
That
also
yeah,
blew my
that
fucking
is kind
mind.
of crazy for
That
sure.
fucked with me. I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't tell you shit.
No,
I'm
we didn't
like,
communicate about this at all, which explains why we were so like weird as far as the ordering goes and why like
and then Ashton was just over here like, oh, don't worry, that's what the brain spores are for. What? Nothing. That's right. Extract all the information. But no, I really like this. Honestly, given how much we shared, it makes me a bit less harsh on myself about my draft because I really wasn't enthused about it going the realism route. I'm like, man, I just want to bring EO to Raw and I want to fuck shit up.
I'm
But
just really surprised that you have Jey Uso winning the World Heavyweight Championship, honestly.
because, dude, here's my thing, and maybe okay. So I will admit that I think this is wishful thinking on my part, and it is pro Jey Uso bias because I've really loved him as a singles guy, and I am so happy for him when I see how much he's moving merch. I know him and Jimmy are going to reconcile. I just want him to get his flowers before then because I swear to God, if he gets back with Jimmy and he's been called main event Jey Uso all this time with nothing to show for it, it's gonna make me have like a tick. It's gonna make me just be like, okay, or like every time like I just dig my fingers into something just so I don't scream. And again, I feel like you can use the World Heavyweight title as a narrative device because he wins it solo, like fucking destroys him for it, or they fuck him out of it, or whatever. And then it's like, well, Jimmy's a pain in the ass, but he's my pain in the ass. And we both kind of hate the new bloodline now. So let's do it. So yeah, and again, Priest, he's good, but I don't see him as a long-term world champion. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, it's all going to come to a head at Backlash. And yeah, and nothing else really to say. So you okay with that? Take us home?
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed the draft. What's funny is I actually did tweet about this. It's not often I tweet about our stuff anymore, and it got a shit ton of views. Let me actually look at the current view count. I got 443 views on that tweet because I promoted it very cleverly, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people are like, man,
You
fuck
said
your fake wrestling shit.
if you're a fan watching the hashtag NFL draft,
Yeah.
that's what got the attention.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know how to. Hey, look, man, I took a marketing
I'm
course,
so
okay?
proud of you.
Yeah, I'm milking that shit, but then they clicked on the link and they're like, man, it's that fake shit. Fuck you. And I'm like, no, you have Roger Goodell. Fuck you. And
Yeah.
his thumb fucking ass. Anyway, okay,
Fuck
let
your
me guess.
sport that causes brain damage. Watch our sport that causes brain damage.
Yeah, my CTE greater than your CTE
You fucks.
for the 1, 2, 3, bitch. And then I
Oh,
walk away
no.
thinking I'm all cool, even though I'm not. Anyway, let's go home because I'm an unhinged adult man.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody like the video, you should file out, subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications so you don't miss any of that troll goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And yeah, guys, just Saturday for in review should be interesting because again, we do have SmackDown tomorrow. That'll be 8 p.m. You can join us in the Discord for that as we look at the draft picks and see how it goes. I hope they do a war room again, just because you reminded me of that Italian memory. I want to see people mark out for no reason. Like, oh my God, we got Dominic Mysterio. Sit the fuck down. This is why you haven't been promoted in 5 years. So yeah, that'll be at 8, and then Saturday in review. That's 10:30. Should be an easier week, I think. I don't really think too much has honestly popped off from where I sit, except Drew fucking slang it. Did you see Drew's latest tweets?
I probably, but I don't know for sure which ones
He
you're referring
quote
to.
tweeted Sheamus because Sheamus just kind of like took power of the joke of the whole burger after burger after burger
Yeah.
thing. And Drew quote tweeted it with the Scott Steiner TNA segment where he's like, he's fat. And like, he
Wow.
used it
He is
perfectly.
a real piece of shit.
I love him so much. Talk about your mixed messages. He's a piece of shit. He's perfect. He's a perfect piece of shit. So, yeah. The interview will be at 10:30 where I talk about our God King Drew McIntyre, who fuck CM Punk, fuck Sheamus, fuck everybody that thwarts his ambitions. And honestly, I'm hoping he's the next King of the Ring. Yeah, that's right, Woods. I'm sick and tired of hearing you talk about how you have the crown. I hope you get Claymore in the face so then you can sell it with a nice cry afterwards. Bitch ass. Anyway, that'll be at 10:30, and then yeah, Sunday we're off because even greatness has to rest every once in a while. So we hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy the rest of the NFL draft, and be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in. Peace out.